Good morning, 8th grade. Miss McQueen and I need for you to practice solving systems of equation using the substitution method. And in order to do so, we need for you to log into IXL to get this done, okay? So just to make sure that there's no confusion, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to get there. First, you're going to want to go to your browser and go to IXL.com. You should have your user ID and password already saved like I do. If you don't, your information can be located in its learning. If you can't find it, just send Miss McQueen a message and she will respond promptly and give you your user ID and password so you can log in to get your grade for today. Now, once you're in IXL, you're going to click on Learning. And once you click on Learning, you come over to where it says Georgia Standards. Georgia Standards. You click on that. You do need to click on 8th grade. And once you've clicked on 8th grade, you want to scroll down to the 8EE7 standard. So right here is where you're going to choose solve a system of equations using the substitution method. Once you click on this, it'll bring up a few problems for you to solve. Now, I'm going to solve one of these problems for you. But even when you're doing it on your own, if you need assistance, click right here where it says Learn with an Example. When you click on this, it gives you an example and show you step by step how to solve these problems, okay? It shows you step by step. So I'm going to do a few examples here for you this morning, as well as IXL will give you some examples, all right? Yesterday, when you were supposed to take your notes, on the last slide, there were two problems that you were supposed to practice. And what I wanted to do this morning was I wanted to show you all how to solve these two problems so that way you can check your work and see if you were able to come and get the same answers as we're going to get here. All right. So first, when we're using the substitution method, if you don't have one of the equations in this form where you have y equals something or x equals something, you need to rearrange the equation or solve it so that you get y equals ta-da-da-da-da or x equals ta-da-da-da-da. So in this case, it was already here where we know what y is equal to. Y is equal to 2x minus 2. So because I know that, I can go ahead and plug it in the place of y. That literally means wherever I see a y, I can write 2x minus 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the equation while plugging it in as 2x plus 3 times 2x minus 2. Remember, wherever I see a y, I can replace it with 2x minus 2 because that's what y is equal to. All right, please remember that this is y. Okay? Now we're going to use our distributive property, combine our like terms, and solve the equation. So let's do that. We're going to rewrite the 2x. 3 times 2x is going to give me 6x. 3 times negative 2 is going to give me a minus 6. And that is going to be equal to 10. Now we have to combine our like terms. Well, what are our like terms? Here I see an x. Here I see an x. So those are like terms. Let's combine them. 2 plus 6 is going to give me 8x. I'm still just going to bring down my minus 6 equals 10. Now I have a basic two-step equation that the process tells us that we're going to identify our variable. See what operation is being done to the variable, which is subtraction, and then you do the opposite. So I'm going to add 6. What I do on one side, I must also do it on the other side. I now go ahead and process some math. Negative 6 plus 6 adds up to 0, so those cancel out. I bring down my 8x because I didn't do anything with it. and 10 plus 6 is 16. I identify my variable, see what operation is being done to it. It is being multiplied by 8. So I do the opposite, which is to divide by 8. What I do on one side, I must also do it on the other. And now I've figured out that x is equal to 2. All right? Now that I figured out what x is equal to, I have to take that x and plug it into one of the original equations. I'm just going to use the top one. I know x is equal to 2, so I'm going to plug that into that equation so I can figure out y. Okay? Now watch this. I'm going to try to figure out y. So here we go. For solving for y, it's going to be this. Y equals 2. Let me bring this over. Let me get a little bit more space. It's going to be y equals 2 times, I know x equals 2, so I'm going to replace it with a 2 minus 2. So I'm bringing it down. 2 times 2 is going to give me 4 minus 2. And what is y is going to now equal 2. So here I figured out that x equals 2 and y equals 2. Now that we know this, we have to actually plug both of those answers back into one of the equations to make sure that it works. This is what we call the check. So to check it, I'm going to plug in the place of y2 and in the place of x2 in the first equation to see if it works. So 2, because I know y equals 2, equals 2 times 2, because I know x equals 2 minus 2. So does 2 equal 4 minus 2? Yes, it does. So therefore, I know I got the right answer. All right. One of the things about solving systems of equations is that it is long and it takes up a lot of paper. So you have to be very neat to make sure that you don't make any mistakes because you just simply have sloppy handwriting, okay? Having neat handwriting is absolutely critical when trying to solve a systems of equations. So now what you should have figured out was that the solution to question number 1 is an ordered pair of 2, 2. Okay? All right, now I'm going to go over problem number 2. All right, so I'm going to erase all of this. Please remember that you can always pause and rewind this video as often as you need to in order to understand it. Okay? You can always pause and rewind this as much as you need to. All right? Let's look at problem number 2. In this one, we have to rearrange the equation first so that we can get it into A equals or B equals. Well, first thing I'm going to do here is this. I've recognized that I do have one of my variables by itself with no coefficients next to it. So with that being said, I'm going to solve this equation for the variable b. In order to do so, in order to solve an equation for the variable b, we have to do the opposite. So I'm going to minus 2a. What I do on one side, I must also do on the other. This is going to leave me with negative b equals negative 2a plus 5. I am still not finished because I'm not going to be solving for negative b. I'm going to be solving for b. So in this case, to get rid of the negative, because there's understood to be a 1 in front of that b, I am going to divide. Because it's now being multiplied by negative 1, I'm going to divide by negative 1. And then what I do on one side, I must also do on the other side. And what we end up with is the equation of b equals positive 2a minus 5. All right? So now that I know what B is equal to, I have to take this and I am going to substitute it in the place of B. Now that I know what B is equal to, I'm going to take it and I'm going to substitute it in the place of B. And now let's go ahead and do that. So the equation that we're going to solve now becomes 2a minus 3 times, I know what B is. B is 2a minus 5. And now that we've plugged that in, or we've substituted it, now we're going to need to use our distributive property, combine our like terms, and solve for a. All right, here we go. We're going to have 2a is equal to minus 6a, and negative 3 times negative 5 is going to be a plus 15 equals 7. We're now going to combine our like terms. 2a and negative 6a is going to give me a negative 4a plus 15 equals 7. Simple two-step equation at this point. I'm going to identify the variable, see what operation is being done to it. They're adding 15, so I'm going to do the opposite of subtracting 15. What I do on one side, I do on the other. That is going to cancel out. My negative 4a comes down, and 7 minus 15 is going to give me a negative 8. When I do this, I identify the variable. It is being multiplied by negative 4, so I'm going to divide by negative 4. What I do on one side, I do on the other. And what we just discovered is that a equals negative 8 divided by negative 4 is going to give me a positive 2, right? Now, I'm still not finished because I still have to solve for, well, what does B equal to? What does B equal to? And now that I know that A equals 2, I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it into one of the equations down here. And in this case, I'm going to use the bottom equation. I'm going to use the bottom equation, and I'm going to take this to figure out what B is equal to and plug it right here. All right, so let's do that. 2 times 2, because we know A equals 2, minus B equals 5. 4 minus B equals 5. To solve this, we do the opposite. And what we just figured out, okay, is that, I apologize, I got distracted, is negative B equals, I'm trying to get some more space here. I'm going to continue this on up here. All right, and we're going to have negative B is going to equal 5 minus 4 is 1. And again, we're not solving for negative B. We're solving for positive B. So in this case, we're going to divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, and we have B equals negative 1. So now we've solved both of them, and what we have is A equals 2 and B equals negative 1. So in this case, does this work when we plug it in? We always have to do a check. We always have to do a check. So I'm going to make some space here to do a check. I'm going to take my answers and I'm going to go ahead and plug that in to the bottom equation. So I know A equals 2 and B equals negative 1. So if I go 2 times 2 and I'm going to minus a negative 1, does that equal 5? Does 4, remember when we subtract the negative, it really means to plus a positive. So that's going to be 4 plus 1 equals 5. Does 5 equal 5? Yes, it does. So therefore, we know we've come up with the right solution. So our final answer, or the ordered pair, is going to be 2, -1. All right. Now, please go back and practice solving these problems on your own in IXL. All right. Again, if you need assistance, click on here on this where it says solve, learn with an example, and they will walk you through step by step. You are getting help. If you have any specific questions, please contact us, log in, and give us, send us a message, and we'll be able to provide you with any specific assistance. All right? Have a great day.